Hi, my name is Eric Daw from OmniFit, and today I'm going to share a question I get often from a lot of older adults. It's how to flatten my stomach or how to train your core. And a lot of times when people talk about training your core, it has to do with sit-ups, crunches, or ab exercises in particular. And today we're going to be doing exercises that get you to train your core without training your core. So before we get into it, I always like to say, let's get into it. So point number one, when it comes to training your core, it's all about being unbalanced. So a lot of times when we think about doing exercises, we always want everything in symmetry. And of course, we want to be symmetrical, but a little bit of imbalance leads to more core engagement or having your core having to stabilize more. So one exercise that I love to do to add core engagement, and it gets actually some work on our upper body, is a one-arm chair row. So for this one, I'm gonna have you grab one dumbbell or any weight that is a bit of a challenge, and I want you to take your hand and put it right on the chair and create a spot where your back is flat. So if you notice, my back is flat in this position, and I have one hand on the chair and I let one arm drop. So just being in this position forces me to engage my core because this hand has to stabilize my body from falling basically. And then with the other arm in this position, in a rowing position, I can pull the arm back. So you notice my core is stabilized, keeping my body and my back nice and flat, but then I'm also keeping my body stable with this one hand that's on the chair. And you can do this obviously on both sides. So once I've done about, 10 or 15, try switching hands. Same thing, keeping your back flat, and the only thing moving is that arm in that row. Obviously, you can go ahead and lift a heavier weight than I'm lifting now, but you'll notice just being in that position without even rowing, you should feel that your core is really stabilized and working. So that's a way of training your core without training your core, point number one. So point number two is all about using more of your muscles again. When we talked about the one arm chair row, it's a perfect example of a compound exercise. But another great example of a compound exercise is a squat and press, a squat and arm fly, a squat and front raise. If you add more muscles in the same exercise, you get to have to, or you're forced to engage your core more. So for example, if I squat and I do an overhead press on the way up and squat and do an overhead press, being in this position actually forces me to use my core more. And for those that have a hard time going over the head, you can do a squat, as I said before, and do a front raise. Squat and then come right here and do a front raise, and do a squat and do a front raise. Being in this position forces you to, again, engage those core muscles in ways that you wouldn't just get from doing a normal squat or even just a normal front raise. It combines the both together. It'll allow you to get more of a workout and force you to engage your core. Point number two. So if you have access to a medicine ball like I have here, and a wall that you don't worry about putting holes in it, probably not at home, right in your living room, we don't want to see you knocking those pictures off your wall, folks. But if you have a medicine ball or something like this, be more explosive. Be in a position where your body is forced to stabilize, and the more explosive you are, it forces you to use your core. The reason why I like older adults to do this is because I want you to train like an athlete. Regardless if you're 50, 60, 70, you still want to be athletic as you get older. So doing explosive movements falls into this category. So once you have your medicine ball, I'm going to have you face your wall, stand about a meter, a foot and a half away from it, and just basically explode or push the ball into your wall as hard as possible. So being in this position really forces you to engage your core, because if it's not, my body will fall forward, or when it comes back to me, the shock of the weight of the ball coming back to me will force me back. So the more I'm able to stabilize and keep my core nice and strong, I'm able to stay in a very upright position, still collect the ball and push as hard as I can. You can try this for about another 20, 30 times. You'll really feel this exercise is great because you're working your arms and you're working your core, as I always like to say. Working your core without focusing on it. Point number 3. So you folks know, I'm not just gonna leave you with 3 points. Here we got a bonus exercise. And you know, when it comes to retirees, older adults, seniors, I love to talk about balance. So a great exercise to work your core without working it is to do any sort of balance exercise while you're doing an upper body exercise. So I'm gonna do a one-legged stand. Being in this position, I don't know if you know, I actually have to stabilize my core to be in an upright, tall position to keep my balance. But how I'm gonna take it to the next level, I'm gonna do some arm flies. I'm gonna stay nice and tall as I'm spreading my arms apart. Being in this position forces me again to use my core, and of course we have to switch legs. Spreading my arms apart as I'm keeping my balance forces me to use my core. So folks, I would encourage you to try to use these 4 exercises and as a way of working your core without working it. Point number 4. So folks, what do you think about those 4 exercises? I want you to incorporate those into what you already do. Also, what I want to get across to you folks is I'm not discouraging you from doing ab or traditional ab exercises, but I want you to start thinking of your core as not just something you do on the floor, but it's something you use in all activities, standing, sitting, lying down. Every time you move, your core has to be engaged. Your core has to be working. That's how you work it and actually get a flatter stomach, stronger core. So what do you think, folks? What do you think about these exercises? And I'd also love to know what you folks do to train your core. On that note, folks, please like and subscribe. I have the link below. So many of you folks watch these videos and don't hit the button. Why not? It's right there. Hit the button, folks. On that note, this is Eric Daw from OmniFit. Take care.